right. So next up, Harold Fannin, Bowling Green tight end, 6'3" 1/4", 241 pounds, 9 1/4 inch hands. He's only 20 years old. He'll be 21.
Youngest tight end in the whole class.
Yeah, in July. At the combine, he ran a 4.71 in the 40. He had a 1.56 10-yard split. He did the 20-yard shuttle in 4.39, a 3-cone in 6.97. Very impressive.
Really good.
Very impressive.
And that kind of goes in hand with what we talked about earlier.
A broad of 118 inches, 34-inch vertical. Last year at Bowling Green, he had a monster season as well. In 13 games, he had 117 receptions, 1,555 yards receiving,
Bonkers.
10 touchdowns. He also had 9 rush attempts for 65 yards and another touchdown. He did that on 150 targets. He had 4 drops for a 3.3% drop rate, and he had 873 yards after the catch.
150 targets in college. That's an absurd number.
50% of the team's
targets
yards. Yeah,
that's nuts.
Correct.
So it's mine to start, but maybe I'll just take the next one because Rich, I know you're a lot higher on Harold Fannin than I am, and it feels like an injustice for me to go first.
Oh, so I was just sitting here the whole time. And I was like, I'm going to wait my time and completely just shit on everything he just says and refute everything he just says.
No, so I'm going to let you start, and then I'll tell the people why to temper your expectations a little bit.
Yeah. So, I mean, Gary and I were talking earlier in the day, and he said he didn't like Fannin, and I actually did like Harold Fannin. Now, I also want to impress him by saying, I like Harold Fannin. He's my tight end 3 in this class, but that group is like 2 tiers behind Loveland and Colston. But you mentioned, Matt, the 117 catches for 1,555 yards. He led college football in both categories. Both of those were FPS tight end records, mind you. He was MAC Player of the Year, first tight end ever to do that. And listen, the biggest thing you're going to hear about Fannin is he's a linear receiver. He's got tight hips. I mean, his hips are like your girlfriend's dad shaking your hand on prom night, and he knows you got a condom in your pocket. Like, he's not happy. And
firm?
That
firm, I think is what.
That is firm.
Yeah, tight. He's a grip it tight. You call it firm? I'm trying to, come on. Don't ruin my analogy.
Oh, I was trying to figure out what the word was at the end. You never gave us the punchline.
He's tight.
Okay.
Hips. But what's weird about, and again, his 3-cone shows a 6, like you would never guess he ran a 6.97 3-cone. Like you would have guessed that.
I think he has some pretty good suddenness. I don't know.
I agree. Yeah. His tight hips are going to like limit his route running ability. But when you put the ball in his hands, he does have some suddenness. He has that like over dramatic, like plant your foot, stop and cut. Like it's almost like
a dead leg.
Almost like Deion Sanders out there, right? And
I don't know.
Did Deion Sanders?
No,
he played mostly defense.
In slow motion.
In
slow motion.
I'm very confused at this comp.
I love the back pedal right there. That's Deion. Deion's the back pedal.
Well, he's not as fast, but like, again, he is fast enough, and you saw it on tape to get it done. I mean, I know it's against Old Dominion, but 12 catches, 189 yards, and he was just like really weaving through those zones. And that's my biggest thing that I really saw about Fannin is the way he was able to attack zone. And I told you that earlier. I was like, man, I thought he did a really good job attacking zone, constantly finding a soft spot in the zone and facing the quarterback and getting it done. I love the way he was able to roll off his blocks and immediately show his quarterback his numbers, get the ball in his hands and move. I like that actually when he got in the ball in his hands, he was way more fluid than you would think he was. Like I said, he had some of that suddenness, that stop-start ability, which I was really impressed. I thought he had his stats. Oh, I saw Warren Sharp put out something there. 29% missed tackle rate. 29%, which I thought was pretty impressive there. He averaged 4.1 yards per route against the zone as well to kind of validate that. And a lot of people are like, well, it's at Bowling Green. No, he was very consistent across the board against every game. And then actually against Texas A&M, Boise, and Penn State, he had some of his better games outside the Old Dominion game. Really good hands, catches everything. All over, hand catcher.
Yep.
Nothing really gets by this kid. But again, I mean, his kryptonite, it's going to be his stiffness. His lower body tightness it's going to ruin that route tree a little bit there. You can see, which again, you could press players like that, or usually a tight hip too. You could press those a little bit. But like, again, you line him up at tight end, inside the line, in the slot. Like, he's going to do really well. I thought I saw a player that moved pretty damn well for how stiff he was. And I came away impressed with that. Like, again, how he's able to stop and move and get players to miss and do it against Penn State and these bigger schools and gain yards after the catch consistently. So it wasn't like a fluke thing where, yeah, he had a lot of catchers, but he wasn't manufactured like some other tight ends we're talking about,
Sure.
like a Terrence Ferguson. Like, he was not manufactured. He played at all three levels of the field. So I came away really impressed with that, his youth and his ability there to get it done. So for me, I see a player, if he can come in here and be the number 2, I'm really excited to see where he gets drafted in the NFL draft.
That's going to be really big for him.
I would love to see him be the heir apparent to Kansas City. If he ends up in Kansas,
who wouldn't?
Travis Kelce. I mean, of course, who wouldn't? But I think he could fit that mold really well. They had that report, Pat Mahomes. He's a really nice player. Could he be boomer bust? I feel like outside of Colston Loveland and Tyler Warren, a lot of these guys could be boomer bust because there's a lot of flaws with the rest of these guys. Mm-hmm. But if I'm going to gamble on one of them, from what I saw strictly on tape, which is an absolute pleasure to watch this guy's tape, I'm going to bet on a guy who did something no tight end has ever pretty much done in college football and did it consistently week in, week out. It wasn't one of these fluky games against just a really small schools because he played at Bowling Green. It was every single week against some of the high division players as well. Again, his route run ability, him getting off the line, his stiffness is a concern. I feel like he reminds me of a player that I did not like at all, actually. But
to come full circle.
But a player that what you hoped a player that I described if he turned into a tight end and he worked at that, his ceiling I think was what Harold Fannin is actually, and it's Devin Funchess.
Okay. I honestly don't think he's as stiff as Devin Funchess. I know you're ranting about how stiff he is. I think maybe it's the explosion.
I'm trying to get everybody ready for Garrett over here.
Maybe it's the explosion kind of in and out of some of those breaks that makes him seem less stiff to me or something, because I was okay with his routes. I'm not as down on him as you are.
I'm not down. I think he's talk about him.
No, I'm talking about you didn't like his routes. I didn't think his routes
okay.
I didn't think
They're
his routes
stiff.
were bad. I think he had nice explosion kind of at the top of some of those breaks. You mentioned the kind of after the catch and all that. I think he does have good speed to kind of outrun guys and juke them a little bit, but he also isn't afraid to mix it up and get a little bit physical as well.
Oh, yeah.
On some defensive backs. My main question is, and it's always, sometimes it's overblown, a 6'3" tight end, 241 pounds. Is the guy big enough? I think he's a big enough playmaker to kind of overcome that, so it's not that big of an issue. Most guys you want to see it 6'4", 6'5". But I don't know. I like Harold Fannin. I don't love Harold Fannin. I thought when I saw 1,500 yards plus, I was going to really, really like his tape. I like it, but I don't love it.
And I agree. I like it.
Yeah.
I like it enough to be my third tight end in this draft class. There's a lot of good running backs in this class too.
Yeah, I don't know if the upside is there, but I like him. I don't like.
He's the kind of guy in the right offense could be tight end 6, 7 consistently.
I see a very
could he be Gerald Everett? Maybe. Could he be?
Come on, don't
could he be
poop on
better?
it.
I mean, you know what I mean. That's where I'm kind of.
and that's the
teetering.
hard part. If his ceiling is a Gerald Everett, how excited should we really?
Yeah, not excited at all.
be?
That's how I'm going to describe
So
it.
and it's interesting because this year I feel like maybe even more than most years.
For fairness, that could be his basement.
Floor?
Oh, so that was a floor comp?
Yeah, that was a floor,
that's
not
a
a
good floor.
ceiling.
That's a good floor. That's a
Okay.
good floor. Hardwood.
I think his floor is lower than that. I think there's a lot of bust potentially
Okay.
in his game. I think that would be maybe
I think I could argue
average
that
comp.
Gerald Everett's pretty much bust too, man.
He had moments. He had flashes.
Who?
Gerald Everett.
Gerald Everett.
Oh, yeah. He's
So I feel like this year more than most
For
years,
fantasy, he stinks.
we have been maybe the most in lockstep that we've ever been as far as how we viewed the running backs, how we viewed the wide receivers. I feel like this is the one where I'm the furthest from you guys on out of all of this. I really did not like his tape very much. I think he's crazy tight-hipped. You saw a lot of stuff, even some clips of the Senior Bowl. You'd watch other tight ends, and then him, and it would look like a giant ship trying to turn in the ocean. It was these huge rounded it did not look good. So I don't like his route running really at all. So we're banking on a guy that is undersized, not as athletic. We're in a 4.71, so he's not like I do think he has good get off. I'll agree with that. I think his initial burst is good, but I don't think he has great long speed. So I don't see I
agree with that.
A ton of big plays, and
none of these guys.
You need to have one of two things to be a successful tight end. You either need to, what he did in college, get force fed the ball, but chances are we're looking at what round do you guys think he's going to be drafted? Third. Okay. So I think that I would see more as a fourth, but
fourth. Yeah.
Okay.
Third or fourth.
So most offenses are not force feeding a third or fourth round tight end the football. So then you have to be like an end zone target. And at 6'3", he doesn't profile traditionally. And I don't think he has insane leaping skills or anything like that to say he's going. So I just don't really see the real path for relevance here. I think he's just a fun player that did put up numbers in college, and we see that at different positions where guys will just right offense, right system, right time, all of that. And it comes together and they put up numbers, but they don't necessarily have NFL bodies or they don't have NFL skill sets. I think he has solid hands, but he's not go up and get it, amazing contested catch guy. So I just don't see the path for him to be overly relevant. I think his ceiling is tight end 13, 14.
Wow, that's not a ceiling. That's not even a ceiling.
That's the thing. I just don't see do I think he could be better than David Njoku is right now? Do I think he could be better than Jake Ferguson is right now? Do I think he could be I just don't. I don't know who's he going to pass.
What's the answer to either one of those?
Huh?
No.
No, he's at 10 and 13.
Right, no.
Well, it's just another player that we're going to be able to rip on Garrett for being wrong against. Can't wait. I'm a fan. I want to temper because I don't want to say it he's a first round grade for me. No, I think he's player.
I think he's my tight end 5 or something like that.
Oh, he's my tight end 3.
I know.
I'm fine with tight end 5. I'm fine with that.
I think that's
there's only 5 guys you like.
Well, I don't even know that I have him at 5, but I'm fine with him being at 5.
He's my 17th overall rated player, Harold Fannin, in Superflex tight end premium league.
He doesn't crack my top 36.
But he's in the same tier of the guys going down. He's in the same Jalen Royals tier.
But you have him above Royals?
I do for now because tight end premium. Again, for me, this tier, these guys are all so close. Okay, he's in the same tier I have as Matthew Golden. People say I was stupid for that, but he's in that tier.
I just don't see how he could be in that tier with those guys. I just don't.
Because I like his tape. And when this tier, I think this tier here from Jalen Noel starts with and ends with Elijah Arroyo. This tier will get broken up into either 2 tiers or 3 tiers even.
Okay.
But these are the guys who are all so close. I have them ranked in order how I would take them.
Sure.
But the NFL draft is there's no set in stone here. That's why I kind of put them in tiers.
Yeah, I get you.
But yeah, I like Jalen Royals too. But again, if it's tight end premium, I'm a tight end slut. I'm always going to try and find that guy who's going to give me the edge. I like to grab those guys. Now, if Harold Fannin ends up going in the 4th round to a team that's just okay, then yeah, Harold Fannin's going to drop to the whole bottom of that tier.
I think for me though is what for you, what is a ceiling? Because that's the thing. If I'm going to take a tight end in the first 2 rounds, even in a tight end premium, if I'm taking a tight end in the first 2 rounds of my rookie draft, I need to see that there's at least a glimmer of hope of being a top 3 to 4 guy. Yeah. If there's not at least a glimmer of hope of that, then it's just not worth it.
Let me bring up, I'm trying to
see a Delaney Walker, undersized, but crazy sort of usage. Yeah.
A Jonnu Smith season.
Yeah, sure.
I think it could be, like a Jonnu Smith.
Also like a 6'3".
He's an undersized tight end. I think he just moves a lot better.
I could fall in the category. I think he live in it.
Overall faster. I don't know that he moves a lot better, but he's overall faster.
I think he could. I think again. I don't think his ceiling is internet elite group of the 5, right? But I think he has a ceiling of being tight end 7 for a couple of years, in that range, not even longer. I'd like a tight end 7.
Why take him there then?
Because that's value, dude.
It's not.
Yes, it is.
In the first 2 rounds, taking tight end 7 versus taking tight end 13, there's no difference.
Who said 2 rounds? I mean, what if he falls down when it's all said?
You have him at 17.
I know, but when the draft is over, it depends where he goes. He's go down to 29. There's 10
I'm
guys
fine at 29.
Yeah,
but my problem is 17.
That's fine too. That's fine. I have him here on the upside of where I think it'd be, which is gonna be tight end 6, tight end 7, right around in the right offense. And for me, that holds value in tight end premium leagues when everybody's always chasing that young tight end that
Right.
shows some promise, right? So like if he shows some promise, he finishes his rookie year or sophomore year as tight end 7. That's value.
Oh,
in
for sure.
Dynasty.
That's huge value.
So that's my point. Like
If he does.
if he does, you don't think he can? I do. So my point is, like, if I think he can get there, that's a huge return. Either I keep him or that's a huge return I can get because people are going to give you a first round pick for that kind of guy. So that's where I view him. I think he has really good ball skills. And I like him in open field movement. I think for a guy who is as tight as we're talking about, not as Matt is, but you and I are talking about, I thought he moved really well in the open field. And Matt saw the same thing with his son and his stop-start ability. I thought he did enough. I think his stats of the missed tackle rates kind of show that as well. So I think there's enough there with him. Once he gets the ball in his hands, there's enough there for him to be very, very fantasy relevant. Where's he going to go, and will he get the ball enough to make that a point? Now, to be fair, that's almost all the tight ends we're talking about. Are you involved in the offense enough to be fantasy football relevant? That's what it differentiates that top 5 consistently. Then these guys are always poking their head into the group.
And just for reference, we spoke about it a little bit on the wide receivers when I was kind of comparing ADOT to their average yards per reception, and he had an ADOT of 7.8 and yards per reception of 13.7. So he is doing some
Obviously,
stuff
after the catch.
and he's making people miss.
And it showed on tape, and the missed tackle rates there too. So like I think you and I just saw 2 completely different players here.
Yeah.
And
you know what? I was looking at the wrong one. That was Terrence Ferguson. He was 7.5 and 13.3. So just to clarify, similar. That's
Very
why.
similar,
I knew it was close to that anyway. So that's why.
so I'm
Well, we're
almost
about to get to Terrence Ferguson.
Yeah.
that's why I switched over. That's
maybe be right and maybe be wrong. I mean, but worst case, we meet in the middle, and he's tight end 10, and it's still. And my point is, I think he has upside to be somebody you actually put. If you're tight end 10, you're startable tight end, right?
Absolutely.
I think he has the potential. Definitely being only 20 years old and what he's done. Again, you can't discount what he did at the collegiate level as well. I think there's enough there for me to want to gamble on.
I think that's the difference for me. If I don't see a ceiling of a top 3 to 4 guy, I'm not gambling him anywhere near my first 2.5, 3 rounds.
Okay. Well, I always gamble on the tight end, so I'm always going to rank. I admit it. I always rank tight ends a little bit higher, and I always take them a little bit higher because I think that's a difference in the edge on your opponents.